Long ago, in the beautiful village of Aloh, a village filled with beautiful farm products, beautiful ladies, a village rich and admired by its neighboring village, there was a very beautiful tradition. The tradition states that if a crown prince was to take over the throne, he had to pick a wife from the maidens of the land, giving a fair treatment to everyone in the community. So the people of Olu always prepared their daughters, grooming them to be the next queen, so as if they are being picked, they would not in any way stumble. In this village, there was a beautiful girl named Ibiri. Ibiri is the daughter of Mr. Wankwo, who is among the king's cabinet. Ibiri is the most beautiful girl in Olu. She was greatly admired by everyone. Everyone spoke highly of Ibiri. Ibiri had two friends, Chinelo and Adaeze. Their bond were very beautiful. Chinelo and Adaeze always spoke beautiful of Ibiri. But behind Ibiri's back, they always wanted to be the one to be picked by the crown prince. Ibiri's father, who is one of the king's cabinet, had always groomed his daughter to be the queen, telling her all the necessary information she needed to know when it comes to being the queen. So whenever Chinelo and Adaeze met with Ibiri, they tried to steal the information Ibiri had already gotten from her father. In the same village of Olu, there lived a poor wretched leopard named Okonkwo. Okonkwo gave birth to a beautiful girl named Ihoma, but popularly called Oma by the villagers. Oma is a beautiful lady. Oma is a very pretty girl. Oma loves to make bead because that was the only thing she could do in order to support her sick father. Mr. Okonkwo, who lost his wife when Oma was age 5, his wife, Nkechi, had always taught their daughter Oma to always never give up. She always told her daughter, "You have a bright future. You have a very beautiful star. You are the true definition of beauty. Do not allow the villagers look down on you or ridicule you." Mr. Okonkwo, who is very sick and could not walk, the villagers all assumed that he had leprosy because he became crippled over a period of time. Mr. Okonkwo was sent to the outskirts of Olu. The villagers all connived and told the king at that time to please send Mr. Okonkwo to the outskirts of the village so that he won't contaminate others with his leprosy. But Mr. Okonkwo did not bother with whatsoever they had to say. He knew deep down that he didn't have leprosy, and he believed that one day his glory would be restored back to him, as the cause of his sickness was not known. As time went on, Ihoma started selling her beautiful beads in the village market so as to support her father and herself. But whenever she comes out from her corner, Ibiri and her friends Chinelo and Adaeze will always mock and ridicule her, calling her all sorts of names, insulting her and belittling her. They spoke in their native dialect, calling her a dirty pig. Oma always returned home crying. Her father will always tell her, "Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. You cannot let the words you hear from those villagers make you feel less of yourself. You cannot let the words you've heard from those villagers make you feel less of yourself. Remember what your mom always told you, Oma. Ihoma, you are a beauty, you are a good thing, a blessing to this family. Be determined because one day you shall be the queen of this land." Oma will smile. Oma will smile and tell her father, if wishes were horses, Baba. Let us first focus on feeding every day before we dream of being a queen. But those words had a strong way of encouraging her. She looked forward to every day, hoping and believing that someday she was going to have a stand in the village of Aloh. One day, while Oma was going to the village market to sell her beads, the crown prince, Prince Tobinna, was going on a walk, and he saw Oma from a distance, and he admired her beauty, her tiny waist, the way the beads moved on her waist. Tobe was so amused. It was love at first sight. He quickly stopped her and asked her, "What's your name?" Oma introduced herself to Tobinna and quickly greeted him. "Long live the prince." Prince Tobe smiled and told him, "Why are you being too formal? You can just call me Tobe." Oma looked at him and said, "Do you want my head to be cut off?" And Tobe said, "I won't allow that happen to you." So Prince Tobinna purchased a bead from her. But after paying for the bead, he gave it back to Oma and told her, "This is my gift to you, as I had not brought anything for a beautiful lady like you." Oma smiled and told him thank you. On her way returning home that day, she still met with Iberi and her friends, who started mocking and humiliating her. They called her Mbeke feeling funky. Kebi Neje. Immediately, Oma started running home. She didn't want them to see her cry. She ran as fast as her leg could carry her. She remembered the song her mother sang to her, and she sang it deep within her heart. She felt pained for everything, all the humiliation. King Asuka, the great king, who had ruled for a period of time, and it was time for his son, Prince Tobinna, to take over the throne. Prince Tobinna was to choose the bride after the maidens of Olu had undergone a 7 days test in order to choose the perfect bride and the perfect queen for Olu. On the day of arrival, Tobinna searched for Oma everywhere. From the moment the sun had set for the day, he started looking around the palace to see if Oma was going to come, but he could not find her. Back in Oma's home, Oma refused going for the competition. She told her father that she didn't want to be humiliated by any of the maidens of Olo, and for Iberi and her friends who always insulted her, calling her Mbeke feeling funky. How was she going to cope with no one on her side? But her father told her, "I have been grooming you long ago for this day. Oma, Adadadia, Asampete, do not give up. One thing I want you to know is that the spirit of your mother is always going to watch over you and protect you. No harm is going to befall you in that palace. It is time for you to shine your light, that the people of Olu will see that you are the true daughter of Ogunwa." Oma looked at her father. With tears in her eyes, she told her father, "Papa, I will go. I will go to make you proud, and I promise you, I will be the queen." Mr. Okonkwo was so excited with his daughter's words of comfort. He knew deep down that Oma was going to fight to become the queen. So Oma was the last maiden that got to the palace on the day of arrival. Little did the maiden know that the test had already started from the day of arrival, as there was a strict rule that no maiden should leave their quarter. But after the palace guard had left, a lot of maidens left their quarters, discussing and chanting with one another. Oma remained in her quarters, not speaking to anyone, not doing anything. All she did was sitting down and thinking about her father and who was going to take care of her father in her absence. Though she had made meals for her father, but there was no proper way to preserve them. She really wished she had not come so as to be able to take care of her father. But there was this strong spirit that kept on telling her, "My child, you're doing the right thing." She felt it was her mother talking to her. So she still hoped to become the queen of Olu.
The next day was a cooking competition, and every maiden was given a different type of food to cook. While Oma was going to her stand, Prince Tobina was so excited as he felt that Oma was never going to show up for the competition. The moment he saw her, he was glad. He prayed in his heart that Oma was going to win all necessary competitions. After the maidens were done cooking, the best of the maidens were selected and awarded for the second round. And the third round was a riddle competition. They were asked various riddles based on the traditions of the land, and the best of the maidens were also awarded. And the fourth day was a dancing competition. When Oma emerged to dance, the villagers mocked and laughed and said, "Who would have taught a leopard daughter that did not even see her mother while she was growing up how to dance?" They all said, "Let her just come and shake her waist, because I know she's not going to be able to win." But to their greatest surprise, the moment Oma heard the sound of the drum, her waist whined with intensity, attracting the king, the prince, and the elders of the land. She was the true definition of Okuwanyo. She danced and moved her waist in a way none of the maidens had. They were all shocked. Who would have taught her how to dance? They all murmured to themselves. On the fifth day, all the maidens were assigned a particular design of bead to make. That was a little task for Oma, as Oma had always made beads while she was little, and that was her only means of survival. The maidens were assigned bead making, and they told them that whosoever makes the best bead will be bought by the royal family. When Oma was done making her beads, the queen stood up and went straight to her and bought her beads. And she told her, "You've made a design that I haven't seen in the whole village of Olu. You're a beautiful girl." Oma was so excited. She was glad. She felt the presence of her mother had never left her all through while she was in the palace. On the sixth day was the day to finalize and pick the bride. But from all competitions, 3 maidens had won the competition, and that was Oma, Ebere, and Chinelo. Because 3 maidens had won, the king decided to ask a question, and the question was a popular question in the village of Olu. So when he asked the question, Oma answered it and answered it correctly. Everyone was shocked, and they all asked, "Does she go to school? How does she know about the traditions of the land?" But none of them remembered that her father had always known the traditions of the land and was part of the king's cabinet long ago, before he was casted out to the outskirts of Olu. So Oma was called forth to be crowned as the next queen. Prince Tobina was so excited. He was so glad that Oma had won all the competition. His dreams of getting married to Oma was finally coming to reality. But as the king was about to place the crown on Oma's head, the whole villagers echoed and cried out, "No! She cannot be our queen. She's the daughter of the leopard. How can you ask a daughter of a leopard to be our queen? Do you want her to carry leprosy and infect everyone?" But the king looked at her and said, "But she does not look like someone that has leprosy. She was born long before her father had leprosy. So why are you all still standing on the fact that she has leprosy? But the villagers refused, and the king knew he had to listen to the words of the villagers. So the king announced that this coronation should be carried out in the next 3 market days, as giving the elders of the land, the king's cabinet, the king and the crown prince to choose who the bride will be. And all the villagers accepted. They all hoped that Ebere was going to be the next queen. When the event was over, Oma carried her bag, but instead of going home, she went straight to the riverside and started crying. And she sang the song she and her mother always sang. She was in tears. She couldn't believe that she's been deprived the queen because she's a daughter of a leopard. As much as she loved her father, she couldn't just understand. Is this a curse that she had to carry all the days of her life? But while she was crying, she heard the strong voice loud and clear that told her, "You cannot give up, my dear child. This is just the beginning of the road to success. If you give up now, how will you be able to stand in other trials that you will face? You are the true beauty, and never ever forget that." After Oma had heard that voice, she stood up, cleaned her tears, and went straight home. On getting home, her father has been waiting for her because he could hear from other passers-by that the competition was over. When she got home, she hugged her father tightly and told her father, "Papa, I won all competitions, but I wasn't given the crown because they said I am a daughter of a leopard." Her father looked at her and told her, "My child, you are the queen and you will always remain the queen." Oma looked at her father and said, "Papa, I hope so." As time went on, they all carried out with their day-to-day activities, waiting for the 3rd market day so as to announce who the queen of the land was going to be. As Oma was going out that day to sell her bead, she still met with Ebere and Ebere's friends. They still ridiculed her. Ebere told her, "Mbeke, I never knew you were going to come for the competition, though I didn't see you on the arrival day. So when did you come?" Oma told her, "I came after everyone had gone to bed because I didn't want to be humiliated by you." Ebere looked at her and told her, "Yeah, you are funny. Don't worry. When I become the queen of this land, that part of Aloh you and your father stays in will no longer exist because I'm going to cast you people out of Aloh." Then she told her friends, "Come, let's go and leave this Mbeke feeling funky." Oma was so pained. She was so devastated. She couldn't imagine the hatred, where this hatred was coming from. But Oma never knew that Ebere admired her true beauty. Oma was a very beautiful coffee maiden. She was very, very beautiful. Ebere admired her on the inside, so that was where this hatred was coming from. On the 3rd market day, all the villagers all lined up, and Oma and Ebere were called forth. And the king asked them one last question. Oma and Ebere answered it correctly. Then the elders of the land threw a puzzle for them to fix. Oma did it effortlessly. Lo and behold, Prince Tobinna was called forth to come and choose his bride, and it was said that whosoever Prince Tobinna pick would be the queen. Prince Tobinna first walked towards Ebere, and the villagers were chanting. But after looking at Ebere, he walked straight to Oma, looked at her closely and hugged her, and rose her hands up and said, "This is my queen." And all the villagers knelt down and bowed. Long live the prince, long live the princess. Ebere was shocked. She couldn't believe her eyes. Was she on trance? How could this happen? How could the prince ignore her and pick Oma? It can't be. Ebere was very, very surprised. She immediately broke down to tears. She cried her eyes out. She couldn't just believe what had happened. But Prince Tobinna held Oma and walked towards his father for his father to bless the union.
King Azuka immediately rose his offer and blessed the union of Prince Tobinna and Oma. Oma was so excited. She was so glad. She immediately asked Prince Tobinna if she could go and inform her father about it. Prince Tobinna followed her to her father's place and she informed her father that she is now the queen of Aloh. And her father immediately bowed to her and said, "Long live the queen." She was so shocked as why her father should bow to her, and she asked her father, "Why are you bowing down for me?" And her father said, "You are now royalty." Oma was so excited. And that was how Oma brought her father out of the secluded place they had been living all the days of her life and took her father to the palace where he was properly taken care of. Oma and Tobi ruled greatly in the land of Aloh. The villagers loved her reign. She took care of each and every one of them, listening to their needs. She was not just a queen, but a mother to the people of Aloh. They never cried or worried for one day. At first, they regretted to be picking Oma, but as she emerged the queen and took over and started treating them nice, they all loved how she reigned, how she took care of them. Tobe and Oma lived happily ever after, giving birth to so many kids as Oma always wanted to have so many children since she never had a sibling. Thank you very much for watching the story of the day.